Hey guys, I'm just talking about the difference between a mule deer and a whitetail deer. If you're going to be hunting in a location where the two species overlap, it'd be a good idea to educate yourself on the differences so a mistaken identity doesn't happen. There's a lot of similarities between these two deer, but also there's some easy to identify differences as well. And hopefully by the end of this video, observing the differences will become second nature. I'll go ahead and start with the face. It's one of the easiest features I always look for. On a mule deer, I'll look for the three black spots you can see here. Mule deer's face it's light gray, making the nose and the eyes stand out. Plus the top of their head is pretty dark. And when you're looking at a whitetail's face, the first thing I see is the eyes with the white around it. And that got in the drawing it got a little darker than I wanted it to, but you'll see around the eyes, you can see the white, and then around the nose there's white. And they both have white under their on their chin, or underneath their chin. It's also worth mentioning that a lot of times the bridge of the nose on a whitetail is darker. Okay. Looking through my notes here. Okay, and now the antlers. This feature can be a little harder to determine because I've seen both animals have kind of the same looking antlers at times. The biggest difference for a mule deer is these bifurcated antlers. And this gives it the appearance of like a tree branch. And they typically grow up and they stand tall. Okay. And concerning the brow tines, they're usually small or just not there at all. And I've looked at a lot of mule deer antlers this past 6 months, and most of them, what I've seen, look like this. They have them, but they're real small. Now on the whitetail, you'll have a main beam that comes up and curves around, and then you'll have these tines that grow off each main beam. And they typically grow more forward than a mule deer. And I always think of this as the whitetail rack as being more kind of forming a sphere where you could actually like set a basketball in there and it could hold a basketball or a beach ball depending on the size of the rack. Okay, the next feature would be the body. And this is a tough one, and I don't recommend this in using a way to determine what species you're looking at. But the mule deer are typically bigger bodied, and they're just, to me, they look stronger. Whereas a whitetail deer kind of has a little more of a wiry appearance. But with that being said, though, I've seen whitetails that were built like a bull. So, and whitetails, typically can be pretty aggressive. So, let's see what else. And the coat of a mule deer tends to be a little more gray. But also I've seen gray whitetails too. So the body, I wouldn't count on the body as being a good difference to determine. Hold on a second, I gotta let my cat in. She's scratching on the door. Okay, the next thing is the ears. And it's pretty obvious how the mule deer got its name, the big ears. And I don't know why they got bigger ears. I would guess that maybe it helps them capture sound maybe at a distance? That would be a good question for a biologist. And with that being said, I've seen whitetails with big ears as well. So that's something you got to kind of watch out for. And I'm not going to get into the differences that much. You can just kind of see by the picture. You can tell that they're a little different. The rump, which you can't see in this drawing, but that's, to me, is the biggest difference in the two. Unfortunately, if you're hunting and you see the rump, that's not a welcome sight, because that means it's running away from you. But the mule deer, their rump is typically lighter, kind of a white or light gray, and they got a thin tail with a black tip on it. The whitetail, when their tail is down, they're kind of the same color as the rest of the body, but when they take off running, they'll raise their tail and it's white, and it's kind of a triangle shaped tail, and it's big. So that's a pretty good indication, or a good difference between the two. The gait. Okay, gait is kind of how they run. Whitetail and mule deer, both are considered diagonal walkers. And if you don't know what a diagonal walker is, watch a little baby crawl on the floor. Okay, that's diagonal walking. When they get scared or when they get frightened, that's when things change up. Mule deer, they will, in the tracking world, they call this bounding. And it's basically where they do these little series of hops, kind of like looks like they're on a pogo stick. And to me, this always seemed kind of weird, but when you think about their terrain that they live in, bounding would be a good way to get away from, predators, going up the side of a rocky hill or a canyon. So to me, that makes sense. And a whitetail, when they go from a walk, they will go into what they call a gallop. And they can do some trotting too, just pretty much like a horse. That's what I think of. They walk, trot, and gallop, with a few leaps and jumps thrown in. So hopefully this kind of helps a little bit. You can look at this drawing and kind of see the differences and some of the things I pointed out, how they stand out. The tracks, I've included that. It's kind of hard to tell, that mule deer got a little more rounded sides to them, whereas the white-tailed deer kind of resembles more of a heart. But if you feel uncomfortable still identifying these two or telling the difference, I would recommend looking at some pictures of mule deer, looking at pictures of whitetail, looking at videos. Pretty soon it'll be it's kind of like when you meet somebody and then you see them again for the second time, and you don't know, you can't really tell what their features are. You couldn't describe their features to another person, but you just know it, and that's how this will be. Once you look at enough mule deer and enough white-tailed deer, you'll just be able to look right at them, and it'll just be second nature to you. So that's about it for now, and I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.